first use of audience feedback came from a survey I created before production work began. Section 1 of this questionnaire developed an understanding of the survey respondent themselves. By doing so, their responses to the rest of the survey could be analyzed alongside this to identify different respondents from different age ranges, genders, and establish whether they are Roy Deli target customers, whose answers were most valuable to me. The survey then continued to gather respondents' favorite, most memorable and persuasive television advertisements. By doing this, I found and watched these myself to identify any aspects and conventions of the media product to inspire my own product. A very significant 22% of respondents identified Cadbury behind the brand of their favorite TV advertisement. There was some other repeated answers such as Sony, 5%, which I had already analyzed in my blog with the mentioned Bravia Balls advertisement. The responses provided included a wide array of businesses and brands, and through customers themselves identifying them as effective advertisements. This is how I discovered brands such as Co-op and even unrelated businesses such as Sony to use for style models. The majority of answers in my first question were food-related, including Cadbury, KFC, Co-op, Irn-Bru and McDonald's. A sub-question in this section asked for the specific commercial or product being advertised so that I can search for these popular TV advertisements and perform separate analysis. In this sub-question, Dairy Milk Gorilla was the most common answer, which means if this is many people's favorite or most memorable TV advertisement, it must contain multiple successful aspects in the ad to sell the specified product. The question, what TV advertisements have made or encouraged you to purchase a food product, gave me insight into which existing TV advertisements have been successful in driving sales, specifically for food. I also asked which specific product or service that the brand was advertising in this instance, so I could find an archived copy and analyze them. 15.8% of the votes stated that British supermarket Co-op, a Roy Deli competitor in ethical and local food produce, had encouraged them to purchase food products. There was a wide range of reasons for this, including 100% British meat, likely following on from Co-op's recent rebrand and marketing driving British produce. The fast food chain McDonald's also scored highly, with 10.5% of the votes, with respondents encouraged by the promotion of product-specific items. Respondents were encouraged by a variety of retailers and brands, with product-specific promotions and also ads from retailers, such as Morrisons and Burger King. 67% of respondents identified informative TV advertisements as ones they engage with most, which was the decision maker when deciding on the genre of my TV advertisement. My initial ideas concluded that comedic advertising would be most popular among survey respondents, although this proved untrue with informative, documentary style and realistic style commercials proving more popular. I believe that these types of advertisements are more suited to a high-end professional business like Roy Deli, with more lower-end, mass-market businesses choosing fiction, animated or comedic advertising communication channels. My secondary analysis identified that under 35-year-olds favored the fiction, comedic and animated genres, but most importantly, the majority of target market-aged respondents, 36-65, favored the informative and realistic genres. Because of this, as well as the way the use of advertising gives an impression to prospective customers, I favored the latter TV advertisement types for Roy Deli. Another way my products were inspired by audience feedback was the gathering of written feedback after a first draft of each media product was produced. For the full-length TV advertisement, the audience must have believed that the shots were so effective that there's great use of the green screen was recorded in feedback. It was actually from earlier feedback that I decided against any artificial shots, as this could be noticed and hinder the emphasis on entirely natural produce that the ad is actually advertising. The most commented feature of the ad was the mise-en-scene, where respondents identified that it fits effectively and looks great. However, the majority of my learning came from the weaknesses that respondents advertised. Some of these were minor changes, technical glitches or genuine first draft mistakes, such as sound cuts out and dubbing slightly out. The overlaying of the farmer's dialogue over the footage of him was done to enhance the audio quality and clarity of the farmer's dialogue.
I'm fed on nothing but the good stuff. This stuff. Expertly crafted by the master butchers at Royd Deli. Nothing beats our beautiful tender meats.
And the sections which were slightly out were easily corrected in editing. Some of the feedback was hard to act upon, such as the fonts are basic. When the 3 official Royd Deli fonts, title, decorative, subtitle, secondary and body text, were decided upon developing the brand before any production work begins, and were chosen for their professional and glamorous looks. The new and exclusive brand's sponsorship sequence advertisement received an array of positive feedback, including nice shots, mise-en-scene fits effectively and great editing. However, again, the majority of what I have learnt from feedback comes from the weaknesses that were identified. The one that concerned me most was the shaky camera. I presumed that the respondent was referring to some handheld shots in this ad, which were only done to enhance the emphasis on natural and organic sourcing methods in produce. I felt that from my research, when discussing the brand's produce organic unique selling point, that handheld shots would help emphasize this. As this was hard to rectify, I was assured from other feedback that this technique did not look like a technical error or poor production values. Similarly to the first round of feedback, there was some genuine mistakes and technical errors, such as those sound problems that were easily rectified before exporting. The final feedback section before my final exports was for my ancillary task, a web pop-up. There was little to learn from this feedback, as the only weaknesses identified were email bit looks dodgy, which I will discuss later, and the pop-up looks unreal, which I immediately discarded. As in the strengths section of feedback, respondents identified background looks real, looks like a real thing, very realistic, a realistic pop-up and looks legitimate. The enter your email here box on the pop-up attracted criticism simply because the command line text cursor should disappear when the text box is clicked. However, I have identified from many existing web pop-ups that this is not always the case, and the message sometimes remains visible until text is inserted. I am grateful that such a small change is the only weakness found in my ancillary task.